and welcome to Wednesday's edition of Cracking the Cryptic, and I hope you all had a good Valentine's Day yesterday. And in fact, the puzzle on the screen is yesterday's puzzle because Mark is up to his nefarious tricks and he sent me a link to today's puzzle which he'd like me to open live on webcam, so why don't we do that now? And we'll click this and we'll click this and we'll see Madrigal by Fafrd. Fafrd. What's the... Whoa. Well, that's not got a lot in it. That's not 9 by 9, 4 5. That is... Hang on. What is going on? That is 11 by 11. It looks square. There's not much in this grid. Right, let's read the rules. Madrigal by Fafrd. Draw 9 non-overlapping 3 by 3 boxes. Place the digits 1 to 9 in each box. Okay. Digits cannot repeat in a row or column. Cells outside the boxes should remain empty. Maverick's just taken off. Maybe Maverick's going to start re-emerging onto the scene and the Cracking the Cryptic videos. Digits within a cage must sum to the given total. There's only one cage. This orthogonally adjacent digits can never be consecutive, be in a 1 to 2 ratio, sum to 5 or sum to 10. That's absolutely ridiculous. That is absolutely ridiculous. If that is amazing. I mean, frankly, that is amazing. Madrigal by Fafrd. I've never heard of Fafrd. Why have I never heard of Fafrd? Because Fafrd appears to have come up with a puzzle of sublime, miracle-esque genius. I mean, it's absolute nonsense. It's what do they call these puzzles? Deconstruction. It's a deconstruction puzzle in the sense that we don't know where the 3 by 3 boxes live. We get one cage. That's got to be the most remarkable discovery in the history of Sudoku, if that solves. Because that is absolutely amazing. Sorry, I'm just a bit lost for words. I'm stunned by that. I'm just simply stunned. I'm also stunned by the fact that I haven't heard of this puzzle. Is it brand new? I've no idea. Because, well, there are a number of possible reasons. It's possible, it's absolutely impossible. It's possible, it is impossible. And nobody's solved it, or very, very few people have solved it. So Mark is trolling me by sending it to me. That's possible. And that might be why I haven't heard of it, because it's just impossibly difficult. But imagine this puzzle has a logical way of solving it, and it's been solved by a reasonable number of people, and it's achieved a high rating. Then I feel I've been negligent, frankly, in not having heard of this, because that is absolutely amazing. Fafrd. Madrigal. Why is it called Madrigal? I don't know. Madrigal's something to do with church singing, isn't it? I'm not sure. Maybe it is. Well, maybe we're about to have a religious experience in solving this puzzle. Anyway, let me do some announcements. I have just read a most wonderful interview. It's in the New Yorker magazine, which I don't normally take, but it's available, this interview, online, and it's with the legendary Will Shortz, who is a friend of mine. Will, as many of you will know, has been the New York Times crossword editor for a long time. I think coming up for 30 years, I want to say. An absolutely charming man. And just sort of talking about the state of crosswords at the moment, the state of words at the moment, all sorts of stuff in there. It's just a delightful read, so I commend it to you. Anybody who has an interest in puzzles, I think, would enjoy it. Birthdays. I've got some good birthdays to do today. Ender, my friend, you have a cool name, and I understand you're 8 years old today. This is absolutely wonderful. These young people who watch the channel. And I understand, Ender, that you named your friend's dog Bobbins. That I applaud you for. And your mum Crystal wrote to say that you do watch the channel and you'd like a shout out. So Enda, happy birthday, my friend. Now George, from your wife Anastasia, she described you, George, as an amazing husband, a brilliant friend, and a big Sudoku lover. And she assured me that there will be cake. So you are in for a great birthday, and happy birthday, George. Liam, from your fiancée Val and Evie, who love you very much. So Liam, happy birthday to you. Now, Matt, your wife Becca wrote to tell us basically that you are a wonderful husband, and I can't actually read out the whole of the message that Becca sent us because it will make all other men watching this video feel entirely inadequate. But I know that you make Becca incredibly happy, so Matt, you definitely deserve some cake. And then finally, Ty, you have turned 25 today. Thank you very much for your email. We appreciated it mightily. It was full of kind thoughts, and Ty, I hope you get your chocolate cake today. So there's some lovely birthdays there. And just the other thing is to mention that if you are a fan of the channel on Patreon, then today is the last day that you have to submit your solution to the Glum Hippo fossil hunt and be in with a chance of getting a shout out. You still have a few more days if you just want to win the plushie. I say just want to win the plushie. We have never had a prize that is so sought after. People are telling us exactly how much they want the plushie. So if you want a chance to win the plushie, you have to get your answer in by the 20th. So you've got a few more days. But if you want a shout out, it's got to be today. And very well done to the following who have sent in correct entries: Mike Daniels, Dr. G, Hunter John, Jameson Skalinski, Andrew Montileone, John Andrew McCullough, Thomas Helm, Diederik, Jessica Friesen and Winnie Schmidt, Vina van Heesen, I think, Livy Roberts and Nick Pelotti. Very well done indeed. Now, I am anxious, I have to say, to have a go at this. Madrigal by Fafrd. I've read the rules, so all that remains to do is to say, do have a go at the puzzle yourself. The way to play is to click the link under the video, as usual. Now I get to play. Let's get cracking. How do we do this? So, there is some rule about deconstruction puzzles, isn't there? I'm not sure how useful it's going to be in a puzzle where we know nothing. I think what we're going to have to do is to work out... I have a feeling I've done a puzzle before that's had a constraint similar to this, and it's very hard to even construct a box that works, like a 3x3 box that works. So maybe that's where we start. I was going to wonder about geometry to start, because I think, assuming this is the same size as other deconstruction puzzles I've attempted before, you can prove something like this, that those cells have to be in different 3x3 boxes of the puzzle, because otherwise you run out of room to actually put 9 3x3 boxes in. But let's not start with that. Let's start with, we could draw a box, couldn't we? Let's draw a box in the grid here. And let's try and work out whether or not it's easy or hard to construct. So we've got to put the 9 Sudoku digits in here, such that none of them are consecutive, none of them are in a 1:2 ratio, none of them sum to 5, and none of them sum to 10. So which is the most restricted digit? That's what I'm asking myself. We want something that's affected. We want digits that are affected by black Kropke dots, don't we? So we can bring that in. So it's either going to be 3, 4, or 6, I reckon. Probably only 3 or 4. Because 3 and 4 are also going to be affected by the sum to 5 ratio, which 6 and 8 aren't. 2 actually might be restricted. So what can 2 be next to? 2 can't be next to 1, 3, 4, 2 can be next to 5. I'm saying that glibly, like I think it's right, but it would be quite easy to miss one of these relationships. 2 and 6 can be next to each other, I think. 2 and 7 can be. Oh, so 2 is not that restricted. 2 and 8 can't be, and 2 and 9 can be. Oh, maybe I've got to use the 11. I don't know. Let's just carry on for a minute. 3, what can that be next to? 3 can be next, or 3 can't be next. It can be next to 1. I keep changing my mind about which way I want to do this. 3 can be next to 1. It can be next to 5. It can't be next to 6 because that would be in a 1-to-2 ratio. Can't be next to 7, but can be next to 8 and can be next to 9. 3 is not. I don't feel like I'm getting very far here. 4. No, 4 can't be next to 1. Okay, so 4 can't be next to 1, 2, or 3. Or 5. It's 4. 4 can't be next to 6 either. Now 4 can be next to 7. We need some digits 4 can be next to, because we can't just hide it on its own in a corner. It's going to have to be next to something. 4 can't be next to 8, and 4 can be next to 9. Right, so 4 only has 2 partners, and that means that 4 is in a corner, because obviously if we put it anywhere else, if we put a 4 here, we'll have orthogonal connections to 3 other cells, and I don't think 4 has, I'm just going to double check this, I don't think 4 has more than 2 other partners it can be next to. So it can't be next to 1 because those 4 and 1 add up to 5. Can't be next to 2, it's in a 1-to-2 ratio. 3 is consecutive, 5 is consecutive, 6 is adding up to 10 with 4, 7 is okay, 8 is not okay, it's in a 1-to-2 ratio, yes. So 4 goes in a corner. Which corner should we put it in? Let's put it in that corner. So 4 goes there, and it must be next to 7 and 9. Now we don't know the order, but obviously we can just assign. we can just assign an order, because we're just trying to work out how this works. And if we did it the other way round, I can't remember if that's the same way round or a different way round, but if we did it the other way round, we're not changing anything. We're just flipping the grid around that axis. These digits are still going to have the same restrictions. So what's hard now is presumably this square. We've got to put something in the middle. Now we can't put 1 in the middle, because that would go with 9 to make 10. We can perhaps put 2 in the middle. Why couldn't that work? That might be okay. 3 is impossible. That would add up to 10 with 7. 4 we've used. 5 is maybe possible, not sure. 6 is consecutive with 7. 7 is the same as 7, so we're not putting 7 there. 8 is consecutive with 7 and 9, and 9 we've used. So it's only 2 or 5 in the middle. Right, let's try 2. So if we put 2 here, what can we not put next to it? We can't put next to it 1 and 3, or 8. So 1, 3 and 8 have to hide in the corners, and we're left with 5 and 6. That corner couldn't be 1 because it would add up to 10, and couldn't be 8 because it would be consecutive. So that would have to be 3. Right, maybe we can force this to be incorrect. Now, what were the digits I need to place? 5 and 6. So these are a 5-6 pair. 6 can't go next to 3 because 3 and 6 are in a 1-to-2 ratio. Right, so 5 goes there, 6 goes there. 8 is consecutive with 7. Wow, okay. So that might be possible, actually. I'm just going to note that down here because I want to... obviously, there are other arrangements of this in terms of we could... well, well, we could rotate the grid around the 2, we could reflect it. So there are, you know, but broadly this is the pattern of the digits that emerges if we put 2 in the middle. But I don't think, oh, hang on, we had the 4, 9, the 7, didn't we? We're going to delete all of those squares. We're going to delete this because there was the possibility that this is 5 as well. Now if we put 5 in the middle, what then becomes difficult? Well, probably not much, because 5 can't be in a domino that adds up to 5 with another digit, because we can't use 0, and it can't be in a domino that adds up to 10 with a digit, because we can't use another 5. So if we do this, what's the problem now? Well, one thing that does occur to me is that 2 is not allowed to be next to 1, 3 or 8. So 2 is... does that mean 2 goes in a corner? Hang on, let me think about this. Because 2... if I put 2 there, how can I avoid this 2 being next to a 1, 3 or an 8? I can't do it. Because one of these squares will have to be a 1, 3 or an 8, because I can't put all 3 of them in that domino. Yes, so 2 goes in a corner. Which corner? We don't know. Okay, so the 2's in a corner. 1, 3 and 8 are not going to be next to it. What's the other digit? 6. Oh, 6 can't go next to 5. Or 7. Whoa, whoa, whoa. So 6 is going to have to be in one of those 2 positions. So if that was 6... no, that can't be 6, because I said... oh, I need the 6 to shield the 2, don't I? This is really interesting. So if we are in a world where we put 5 in the middle, we have to put 2 in a corner, and we have to use the 6 to keep the 1, 3 and the 8 away from the 2, which means I think that this can't be 2, because that would be 6 and that would be a 1, 3 or 8, which is not a, which means this domino is broken. So we have to put the 2 here. Oh no, but now the 6 can't... no, okay, it's simple, isn't it? It just doesn't work. You can't use the 6 in the right place. Whichever one of these I make 2, I need to use the 6 in an adjacent cell to hide the 1, 3 or the 8. And because we can't put the 6 next to the 5, that's really lovely. It's really simple. You see it, but I didn't see it. Okay. All right. So look, we've done it. Well, when I say we've done it, we haven't really done it at all. We have worked out that ignoring rotations and reflections, there is one grid that we are using, and that is a relief, because that suggests the puzzle might be solvable. So we've got to put versions of this grid 9 times. This is where the 11's going to come in, isn't it? It's because, yes, 3 and 8 are not together in this grid. This has to be, yes, this, obviously, this is part of one of the grids. So however we orientate this, the 3 by 3 that surrounds the 11, it does say that, does it? Digits in a cage must sum to the given total. So I think we are allowed to assume that this is part of a 3 by 3. But we can't make this 3 and 8 because 3 and 8 aren't together. We can't make them. It can't make it 5 and 2 and 9 are together. 4 and 7 are together. That's annoying. Okay. So there isn't just one option for this 11 cage, because we could flip this grid upside down, put the 2 here, put the 9 underneath, the 3 and the 4 there in some arrangement. That would work. Or we could put the 2 on one side and have a 4, 7 here. So that's weird. That's actually a bit terrifying, because we don't know then. We know what the rough grid is we're working with, but we can't use the 11 cage to disambiguate. We can't use the 11 cage to tell us which version is at least in this one. That makes me wonder whether I have got this right at all. Because what on earth... Okay, let's get rid of my box here. I've got to put nine versions of this. And when I say versions of it, I think there are quite a lot of versions. You know, if you imagine if we just cycle that grid, just twist it 90 degrees, or twist it 90, you know, we could do that, or we could reflect it and then twist it 90 degrees. I sort of feel like there are quite a lot of orientations. The only thing that's stable is that the 2 is in the middle. So, sorry, I'm not spotting how to do this at the moment. I have a horrible feeling that what I'm supposed to... I don't want to do that. I don't want to do that. I was thinking what I've got to do is somehow guess the orientation around this 11 and see how we sort of propagate. But I'm not even sure I can see how to propagate it around the grid. Because I mean, even if I knew exactly what that looked like, how would I then position the other 8 3x3 boxes with no degrees of freedom? They've just got to be somehow, their exact position is known. This is absolutely amazing. This is quite simply the most remarkable grid I've ever seen in my life. I think it must be, I want to say it's the 2s, because the 2s they're like the centre of a tyre, aren't they? It's like we've got a Michelin tyre, although other tyres are also available, surrounding the 2. So the next 2, wherever it lives in the grid, well, it's got to be at least a Tigger bounce away from that 2. I think that's what we can say. What do I mean by a Tigger bounce? I mean like a long night step or something. What I mean is you can't put a 2 here. You can't put a 2 here because if you do put a 2 here, remember the 2 is surrounded by the Michelin tyre, and that cell's going to have to be part of both 3x3s. If you make that a 2, then the Michelin tyre that surrounds that 2, the 3, you know, is that one, and this cell is part of 2 boxes, which is, I presume, not allowed. Yeah, draw 9 non-overlapping 3x3 boxes. So what we've got to do is position the 2s quite a long way from each other. The Michelin tyre thing means, let's just imagine that was a 2 for a moment. Hang on, let me just think about this. If that's a 2, we can't put any more 2s here or here or here or obviously in there. So none of those could be 2s. Now, I don't think anything that's very close to this Michelin tyre can be a 2 either. So all of these come out. 2. Oh, yeah, okay. 2. Obviously, I say obviously, I've only just noticed it, but obviously because 2 is in the middle of the Michelin tyre, 2 never goes in the perimeter of the puzzle. So, because if we put a 2 in the perimeter, then there would be some cells in that 3x3 that would be off the grid. So none of these cells, that's such a pretty pattern, that's such a pretty pattern, none of these cells can be a 2 at all. Wow, okay. So right, so I've got a 9 by 9 here in the middle that has to contain 9 twos. So those cells, what colour shall I use? Grey? It's a bit dark. Yellow. Ugh, that's a bit garish. Well, just look at the white cells in the grid. Ignore the green ones. Well, actually, we can't ignore the green ones because this is part of it. But this area here, that's where this is the area where all the twos live in the puzzle. And it's a 9 by 9 area. I've got to put 9 twos in without repeating twos in a row or a column. So this is some sort of, yeah, okay. I think I've seen this pattern before, because I've done a puzzle with Tigger bounces in it where you've got to keep the digits Tigger bounces away from each other, and they I can't remember how it works. It works something like this. You've got to put them, you know, they go like this, and then maybe like that doesn't work, you see, because that's too close to that one. It's really restricted. There's not a million ways that you can put digits into a 9 by 9 such that they are a Tigger bounce away from each other. There are not an infinite number of ways of doing this, but what I can't remember is what. Well, there's two things I can't remember. I can't quite remember the pattern. I want to say it's something like this, and then that one. No, that's wrong, isn't it? Here. That's wrong here, because although that's not a Tigger bounce in the sense it's not a long night's move, it's too close to that Michelin tyre, because then I can't have them this close on the diagonal. So yeah, I'm not doing a very good job of explaining this at all, and that's in the same column. So let's move that down. Let's move that down. But now I think I'm running out of room, aren't I? I think the one down here is going to run out of room. So I don't know what the pattern is. So yeah, there are two problems. I don't know what the pattern is, and I can't remember how to justify the pattern anyway. But I think that there is a limited number of ways that you can put digits into a 9 by 9 such that they don't get too close to each other. I want to say, let me just think about that. In fact, I'm just going to outline my 9 by 9 so I can see it more clearly. And I'm going to think about how can I position twos. It feels like I want to put, I want to start with one of them in a corner, is what I want to say, because I think they have to be really efficiently positioned. But then that's quite a big tyre, isn't it? I can't put one there. I don't know about this. This is actually quite tricky. How can we do this in some sort of logical manner? I've got to put 9 twos into a 9 by 9. Maybe what I do Yeah, I know what I'm going to do. I know what I'm going to do. I'm going to draw in. But I need a way of keeping track of the fact that I can't put 2's within Tigger bounces of each other, except it's a slightly stronger condition than that, because I also can't put 2's this close to one another either. And what that effectively amounts to is I cannot put more than 1 2 into a 3x3 box. If I draw that 3x3 box there, and I say, okay, I want to put more than 1 2 into it, well, I can't. It's impossible, because wherever I put the 2, wherever I put the 2 2's, because they've got Michelin tyres around them, there will be an overlapping cell. Now that's really interesting, because that tells me that if I have to put 9 2's into this 9x9, but I can only put 1 2 into any one 3x3, I have got a Sudoku grid, which is actually going to be useful, isn't it? Because now, at least I can think about how to put. Let me try and do this. Hang on. Right, so now what I'm going to do is I'm going to get rid of my colours. I'm not going to get rid of all my colours. I'm going to leave my beautiful purple colour in. And I am going to try and prove that 2 lives in the corner, which is where I want it to go. So let's put 2 in the corner. I've just realised I've got rid of my... I'm going to have to remember what that pattern was of the digits as well. Oh, bobbins. Right, okay, well anyway, let's do that in a minute. Firstly, I want to work out how we position these 2. So I'm going to start with the one in the corner, which is I think where we're going to... I think this will be the only way that we can keep the 2's far enough apart and somehow fill the grid. So if we put a 2 in the corner, where can we now not put a 2? We cannot put a 2 into any of those squares or any of these squares, which means that the 2 in this box is in one of those positions, which means that I want to say that means that is not a 2. Yeah, that's right, isn't it? So this is quite hard. When we're positioning the 2's, we have to think about them being rotund 2's. They have to have a Michelin tyre around them. So if you imagine I put a 2 into one of those cells, let's put it there, for example. It's got a Michelin tyre around it. So if I put a 2 there, it's going to hit it, which is not going to be correct. So in fact, given there's a 2 in one of those cells, that cell and that cell are actually not 2's at all. Hang on, that would imply that cell's not a 2 either. For some reason that feels... No, I think that's right, isn't it? If that's a 2, you can't put a 2 in this box because of the Michelin tyre, so none of those are 2's. That's weird. That's weird. Well, if that's true, surely it's true for those 3 in this box. Yeah, given... So again, it's slightly hard to visualise, for me at least, but if I put a 2 there, let's actually do it. That's a 2. Ring it with our Michelin tyre. Whoa! No, it's not a sort of prehistoric tyre, although that's an even more prehistoric tyre. Then you can see wherever I put the 2, if I try and put a 2 in any of those 3 cells, once I've put the prehistoric tyre around it, it's going to overlap. So, okay, so we are getting somewhere slowly. So now there's no 2 in those cells, which means we've almost locked the 2 in here. I think it's going to be here. I think you get this sort of, it's like a flying geese arrangement is what I'm expecting. So one of those is a 2, so none of these is a 2. Right, but I've got to put a 2 in one of those, so none of those is a 2 by the logic we did up there. And I want to say this, hang on, none of these is a 2 either. Ah, no, I've got this wrong. Well, it doesn't work. It doesn't work with that anyway, because look, these can't be 2s, they'll be too close to our prehistoric tire here. And that means one of those is a 2 in row 6, but these 2 2s are now too close together. Even if I put the 2s there and there, they're going to overlap in this position. So I've made a boo-boo here. Well, this is apparently not where we put the 2 to make this work, which is weird. That is weird. I was absolutely convinced that was going to be right. So this square is out of bounds. That is not where the 2 goes. Now, well, that's just strange, isn't it? Because that would seem to be the most efficient way. I'm now thinking that it might not be any arrangement that's going to work, and that means I've done something wrong. What have I not understood? Well, one thing that's possible is that I didn't get the... When I did the 3 by 3, I thought there was only one sort of basic arrangement of the grid. Now, if I did miss an arrangement, then this is all for nothing. But this is just total nonsense, because if obviously it's totally predicated on us having to put 9 2s in the middle 3 by 3. What should we do? Let's try this one. Let's try and put a 2 here, and see how quickly this breaks. But I have fear that these are all going to break. So if this is a 2, well, again, imagine we've ringed it with our prehistoric tire. I think that one. That one's okay, isn't it? Because this one is okay, because that is a Tigger bounce away. So once we ring that cell and we ring that cell, there is no overlap. Right, so that one is legitimate. There's a 2 in one of those, so there's no 2 in these, and no 2 in that one. I think that's got to be right. And there's a 2 in one of these, so there's no 2 in any of these. Yeah, this is just going to break, I think. So there's a 2 in one of those, which means there's no 2 in any of these. If there's a 2 in one of those, there's no 2 in one of those. I haven't broken it yet, actually. I haven't broken it yet. So if there's a 2 in one of these, none of those can be a 2. If there's a 2 in one of these, none of those can be a 2. There's a 2 in one of those, so which means these cells can't have 2s in them. Now, well, now it's interesting for these 2 cells, isn't it? Because neither of these can be a 2, because there's some sort of weird X-wing going on. Because we know that the 2 in column 7 is in one of those 2 positions. And once we've ringed it with a Michelin tire, a 2 in one of these would break the world. So there's no 2 in there. Now there's no 2 in there. So there is a... this is it. Right, so now we've got a 2 at the top. So that can't be a 2. It's too close. So the shape of the Michelin tire is like that. These squares become greenified. These 2 become greenified. This one is too close by prehistoric tire logic. That's too close by prehistoric tire logic. So we've got this. It's broken again. I'm not surprised. It's broken again. Look, the 2 down here is too close by prehistoric tire logic. So that doesn't work either, unsurprisingly. And I think, unfortunately, this is going to be a repeated theme here. Because now, well, I'm going to tell you that if that cell is not a 2, neither's that one, because that's exactly the same geometrically as this one. So neither of these are now possible to be 2s. We'll try this one. We'll try this one. If that's a 2, then none of those are 2s, none of these are 2s, none of these are 2s. That, and that all get ruled out in an instant. So this is going to break in about 2 seconds flat, isn't it? Right. So let me think about this. So now it's quite fascinating, actually. One thing I will just say is what's quite fascinating is that the patterns are all slightly different. So how we're breaking the position of the 2s, they keep changing slightly. So there's definitely a 2 in one of those. Now, okay, so there is definitely a 2 in column 7 in one of those 5 cells, so that can't be a 2 anymore. That's not going to be enough, is it? The same must be true here. That's not a 2. Okay, I can't see how to break this one as quickly. Let me think about this. So maybe it's this one. Maybe this does work. That would be terrific if it did. I need to stare at this with some sobriety and try and work out. I mean, the difficulty here is that I can't actually, even if I knew, that there was a 2 in this position, oh, actually, there isn't a 2 in this position, is there? I can just abandon this straight away. I didn't think of this. Well, no, this must be right. If that's a 2, well, it's definitely not a 2 in this 3x3 box, because that cell's not in an 11 cage. It's not in any cage, and that would require that digit to be an 11, which I hadn't actually thought about at all. Oh my goodness. Well, hang on a minute. If that's... I hadn't thought about this at all. Hang on. Am I going mad? I have to put a 2 in every... I do have to put a 2 in every 3x3 box. In my hypothetical middle 9x9, I do have to do that. Because they have to be far enough apart. So it is essential that I put a 2 in here. But if I put a 2 in there and I put it here, the Michelin tire surrounds it. That cell cannot be part of the Sudoku grid, or it cannot be part of a 3x3. That would require this to be an 11. That just doesn't work. So I think I'm right in saying actually that's not going to work either, is it? I don't think anything works, apart from that one maybe. So I actually don't think I have to do this. I just hadn't spotted this rinky-dink in the logic. But I'm going to now claim that's not a 2 by reference to the 11 cage, which might be why this 11 cage is here, although I rather suspect it's not. So let's repeat that logic then. Can that be a 2? Well, if that's a 2, that's the 3x3 That's the 3 by 3 that surrounds the 2. So ignore the 3 by 3s I've drawn in. That would be a 3 by 3 in the finished puzzle. And you can see this square would not be part of a 3 by 3, which is not going to work. And that's the same is true for all of those cells. So the only option now is this one. So this now, either this is a 2 or I've broken the puzzle, and that is going to be a cause for some consternation. But I'm afraid, I'm really sorry, I don't know what I did wrong, but something I have said is wrong. Now, this is the problem with this is it's too close to the edge. It's going to interfere too much with this box because you literally can't put a 2 in any of those cells instantly. So we get a 2 in one of these, which is instantly knocking 2s out of all of these. It's got to put a 2 right over here now. And now, because there's well, clearly this now can't be a 2, but I think we can go much further. That can't be a 2, that can't be a 2. Nothing. No, nothing. None of those can be a 2. They get too close to these dominoes. So now I've got a 2 over here, which means I've got no 2s in those. I've got a 2. What can I do with that? Anything? The geometry's different, isn't it? The geometry's different because these... Yeah, it's different from this box. These two boxes are different from these two boxes. Alright, but I can run that logic again. Because I've got to have a 2 in one of those, none of those can be a 2. Because I've got to have a 2 in one of those, none of these can be a 2. So there's a 2 over here. No 2 up here. I haven't quite managed to break this yet, which is perhaps useful. Given there are 2s here and here, we can get 2s locked into 2 by 2s. But how can we do better than that? Right. Neither of those can be a 2. Because if I make these a 2, I have to put 2 2s in column 9. Look, because this, if that's a 2, that can't be a 2, and that can't be a 2. And by symmetry, that's exactly the same logic. So there's a 2 in one of these, which means there's a 2 in one of these. And now there's no 2 here. And the same is true for this little domino, isn't it? Because if there's a 2 in this domino, those are both 2s in row 8. So there's no 2 here. There's a 2 in one of these. There's no 2 here now, which means we're going to get some 2s. But I think this is going to all crack now, because that has become a 2, which knocks that out from being a 2, puts 2s into those. That now, oh, that has to be a 2 because of this one. So that's a 2, which means that's not a 2. That's a 2. That can't be. That's a 2, and that's a 2. Does that work? Wow. Wow, okay. I'm almost tempted to celebrate, because that works. Well, in the sense that these 2s are all far enough apart that we don't run into prehistoric wheel trouble. So this is... Well, this is absolutely magnificent, because now I think we're close to solving the puzzle. This is so amazing, because we literally... Well, once I remember what the ordering of the 2 thing was, or the ordering of the thingy was, around the wheel, the Michelin tire around the 2, I mean, literally, we have these are the only way, this is the only disposition of 2s you can put into this grid. So this allows us to draw the actual Sudoku. So look, we can I think I've got to get rid of everything here. Apart from these precious 2s, I am not getting rid of these. We leave the actual 2s in the grid. We get rid of the 3 by 3s I'd drawn to figure out how the 2s work. and we, instead of that, we're going to draw in actual, let's use black to do the outlining. We're going to draw in actual Michelin tires now around our real twos. This is the most spectacular puzzle, honestly. Come on. Whoopsie. We're going to do this. That's got to be the Michelin tire there. We're going to have this. And then, now, we're going to go around the grid now with new purple to indicate that none of these are part of the real Sudoku grid, like that. And now we've just got to remember how these work. Probably this is the one we're going to need to start with, isn't it? Because I think we found out earlier, I think that's got to be a 4-7 pair. Because I think we said that the 3 and the 8 weren't together in the 3x3 we came up with, and the 5 and the 6 weren't together. So it's only the 4 and the 7 that were together. And I know the order, because I can't remember what that 3x3 looked like, but I do know if that was a 4, it would be next to a 2, and that's not going to work because that would be in a 1-to-2 ratio. So that's it. Oh, and I just remembered it. We did work out that 4 went into the corner, didn't we? So that's, and we put the 9 on the other side of the 4. So we've got 2, 7, 4, 9. Now what else did we do? We worked out something else. 1, 3, and 8 all had to shield themselves. So let's reinvent the wheel, so to speak. That square cannot be an 8 because it would be consecutive. That square can't be a 1. Oh, bobbins. No, that one can't be a 3 because it would be in a domino adding to 10. Right. So that's got to be a 1, which means this is a 3-8 pair. 8 is consecutive with 9. I'm not very good at this, am I? That's 3. So there we go. Now we've got 5 and 6. 6 can't go next to 3. So that is a real box of the Sudoku. And let's just think about what Fafrd has done here. Fafrd, I can't get used to that pseudonym. But look, Fafrd has used this cage to do two of the most remarkable things you can possibly imagine. Firstly, to pinpoint precisely how the 2s get positioned. And secondly, to then fix the orientation of this almost magical square. So we now know that some variant of this lives in every single other tire we've got to put in the grid. So can we lock? Yes. Okay. So now we can approximately lock the orientation of some of these because we know what the digits are that surround the 2. And in particular, if we view this as a type of propeller, I don't know, sorry, this is my weird brain working, but if I view that as a propeller, now imagine the propeller that surrounds that one. Now, if we twist the propeller slightly, so that we put the 6 here, or the 9 in this arrangement, obviously we're going to run into a problem here. We can't have the 6s and the 9s on the propeller being here and here. So these 2 squares have to be the 6 and the 9. These 2 squares have to be the 5 and the 7. But what we don't know, unfortunately, we do know actually, because look, this one cannot be 1, 9 because that would break the rules of the puzzle. And so this square is a 6, that square is a 9. Oh, and okay, that is not the same. I thought we were going to get basically just propagated boxes, but we haven't got propagated boxes at all. Now, so we know that the 6 is surrounded by a 1 and an 8, and we know that the 9 is surrounded by a 3 and a 4. And we know these squares now are these squares, aren't they? They are 3, 5 and 8, but we know the propeller digit there is the 5. So we put the 5 there, we put the 7 there. These are 3 and 8, but 8 is consecutive with 9, so we know the order. 3 and 8 go in at the top. So this one, I think is the same orientation. There's not going to be another way of doing this. We can't, yeah, if you think about the 6 and the 9, we can't just suddenly reverse the order and have the 9 next to the 8. That's not going to work. So we've got to go 6, 9, 4, 1 here. And somehow we need to disambiguate either that digit, or perhaps this digit. We know this middle tire, it sees a 9 here, so the orientation of its propeller has got to have 5s and 7s into those squares, which means that again we've got 6 and 9 vertically here, which again means that the orientation of this propeller can't be such that we have 5, 7 vertically, because that's going to then rule that cell out. So again here we've got 6, 9 vertically. Maybe we have to have 6, 9 vertically everywhere then. Yeah, again the propeller here has got to be 6, 9 vertical, 5, 7 horizontal. That's useful. 8 can't go next to 7, so that's got to be 5, that's got to be 7. So that's different from this one as well, which is strange. Okay, so we know 3 and 8 surround the 5, and we know 1 and 4 surround the 7. Let's put that in and see if that helps me. That one, I think, can be 3 or 8, can't it? Is there something here? 8 and 6 could go together. Obviously 8 and 9 can't, but 8 and 6 I think can. 3 and 6 can't, but 3 and 9 can. Bobbins. Right, okay. Alright, what are those squares then? Oh, this we really don't know, because we don't know the orientation of either axis here. Alright, we do know that this... we know this is a 5, 7, and we know the 7's on the left. So then we know we've got 3 and 8 into these squares, and therefore we've got 1 and 4 into these squares. So now we know these 3 digits, don't we? Because they've got to be, let's look at the rows, 3, 9 and 4. So we know that's got to be the 9 on the propeller, and the 3 and the 4 we can do, because we can't put 3 next to 7. So this is better. This box up here might actually be doable. We can put 6 at the top of it, and now this one is identical to that one, and identical to that one. So this one's 8, this is 5, this is 5, this is 1, this is 7. Now, no, you naughty puzzle. You rotten thing. Alright, I can't see how to do that one either. Let's have a look at that string of digits. You can see there's again we've got 9 actual digits in column 4. I don't know if I really think of that. That must be, well, it's column 4 of the 11 by 11. These squares are not 1, 4, 7, they're not 6, 2, 9, so they are 8, 5, 3, and the 5 is the propeller digit. So we go 5, 7, 8 and 9 can't be together, so we've got to do that. Oh, that's lovely. Look. That 8 can't be next to 7, so that's the middle. 7 can't be next to 3. Come on. So now we should be able to do this one, because we know the 3 goes next to the 5, not the 7, and the 1 goes next to the 7, not the 8, and that one suddenly got done. Now, and we should be able to get this one now. Oh, it's the same as that one. So this is 9, this is 4, this is 1, this is 6. Now, okay, so what's going on here? 1, 4, 7, obviously. 7 is the propeller digit. 4 can't go next to 6, so that goes in. That's got to be the other side, so that's 5. So we've got 1, 7, 4 2 5, which is this one again. So there's definitely some sort of pattern. I mean, it's very unsurprising given what's going on in this incredible puzzle. Right, so perhaps we need some magic to be worked here, don't we? With 1s and 4s, perhaps. And this one is 3s and 8s. Okay. Which is 5 2 7. I know 7 and 9 surround a 4. Okay, so, oh no, imagine if I can't do it now. Imagine if there's some sort of ambiguity left in the puzzle. That would be... how upsetting would that be? Quite upsetting. Oh, hang on. There's a 4 here. That seems to say that's got to be a 1. Yeah, that seems perfectly legitimate, doesn't it? That's just Sudoku. Right, so that's forcing the 6 and the 9 to be that way up, which forces the 3 and the 8. And now, the middle box, look, that's got to not be 9. So 6 and 9 go in. And now the orientation of this requires the 4 to hide in the corner, which means that now we should be able to do this, shouldn't we? We've got to keep the 9 and the 8 apart. And now this one's done, because that can't be 8. 3, 8. And now we're just copying, what pattern is it? This one. So this is 9, this is 6, this is 4, this is 1. Come on! Yes! I did it! Oh my goodness me! That is absolutely amazing! Madrigal by Fafrd. An absolute unbelievable genius. Fafrd, how did you discover this? How on earth did you discover this? I mean, surely I'm not the only one who's just thinking this is completely and utterly bonkers. It is bonkers. There is literally, I mean, I always want to just reset the grid to look at it again. There is just an 11 gauge in the grid. And we have got sent over the years loads of puzzles, like empty grid Sudokus, and they're literally just an empty grid. But inevitably, what they tend to come with is a screed of rules, really, really, difficult rule sets that have to be, you have to stare at for a long time to make head nor tail of. This rule set, it's 2 paragraphs, and they're short paragraphs. It's tiny. And yet it yields that beautiful solution. And it is beautiful. It's really, well, it's fairly clear you've got to think about how to construct a 3x3. I found the second bit difficult, working out how to think about how to position the boxes, but it's perfectly doable once you sort of start to think about it, and then it just magically falls out. That is one of the greatest puzzles you'll ever see on this channel. I mean, it's one of the greatest discoveries in the history of Sudoku, and I look forward to the comments. I love the comments, especially when they're kind, and Fafrd should be being eulogized to the hilt for that one. That is absolutely amazing. Share this puzzle widely, folks, because this one, well, they should write newspaper articles about it. Absolutely loved it. And we'll be back later with another edition of Cracking the Cryptic.